Hey guys, Tucker Antell here with another Tucker's tutorial video. Today's blues lick is more of a vehicle for what I really want to talk about today, which is how to be a curious practicer. So what do I mean by being a curious practicer? Well, don't just learn something one way, one time, and then move on, but practice the art of manipulating a lick or coming up with variations. And it's a really good skill to learn, and it's also really fun and important. So the lick for today is really simple, and it's just so that we can talk about the many ways that we can do that. It's just 3 notes, and it's a great thing to play. For instance, if you're new to improvising, or you're playing in your jazz band at school, this is a great lick to play, and also things that you can do with this lick to develop a solo. So 3 notes. We're playing like an F blues, for instance, and it's just concert C, A flat, G. So there are many ways that you can vary this lick. First of all, the notes that you choose to play. By changing a few notes here and there, you end up being able to create a whole new sound. And it's good to find out what works and what doesn't work, and what those changes do to the overall sound of that lick. So one of the things right off the bat that you can look at is that second note. It's an A flat in the key of F, which would make it sort of a minor sounding lick. Change it up a half step to an A natural, and it's more of a major sounding lick. So we go from the so-called kind of sad sound to a happy sound. Minor. Major. So just by changing the second note by 1/2 step, it's changed the mood or the color or the character of that lick completely. And other notes that you could choose to change are, for instance, the first note. Instead of playing a concert C, what if we played a note lower than that, like a concert B flat? Instead of, what if we played a note that was higher, like a concert D? So, 3 options right there. It's good to explore those different options and get to know what they really sound like, and just get sort of get to know that color and the character of it, so that you can make a choice in the middle of a solo, or even just to develop a solo. For instance, what if you're playing a solo and you're going to want to go with this idea? One of the ways that you can develop it is by changing that first note. That could be a cool solo for your F blues. And just by manipulating the first note, you're able to come up with variations that sort of told a story. Another way that you could vary this is by going between the minor and the major, by playing both of them in sort of a bluesy sort of way. You use the minor, the A flat, to flick into the A natural. Kind of like that. So you end up splitting the difference and playing them both, actually. My favorite is if you play the F above, so that you play a high F and then come down to an A flat and then another F on the bottom. So just by changing the notes that you're playing one at a time, you can mold it and manipulate it to have different sounds to it. And think about which one do you like the best, which is your favorite, and how does playing a D change what it sounds like to you from playing a C. But the next way that you can manipulate things is by changing the rhythm that you're playing. I keep playing the same rhythm over and over again, even though I'm changing the notes. But what if you were to change the rhythm instead, or at the same time? For instance, what if you played the first note a little longer? Or played the first note really quick? Are you using space between your notes, or are you playing them right back to back? Another way that you can change it is by messing with the articulation that you're using. Are you playing short notes? Are you playing long notes? Are you combining them in different ways? Short notes? Or long notes? Combinations? They all sound a little different, and the important thing here is that we're exploring how those differences make them sound different, and coming up with as many variations as we can and becoming familiar with them so that when you're improvising a solo, you're making choices like that. And it also helps you get the most out of every lick that you learn, because this could apply to any lick that you've ever heard or learned. You can manipulate it in tiny little ways to not only develop a solo, but make it more catered to what you really want to sound like. And that's sort of the hallmark of a great improviser, is the ability to take really simple ideas and manipulate them. So let's talk about a couple other ways. You could also manipulate the scoops or the ornaments or the effects that you do at a note. Are you doing a scoop on the first note? A long scoop or a short scoop? Or are you doing a scoop on the last note? Or the second note, or all three? They all sound different. Are you putting vibrato on these notes? A whole bunch of different ways that you end up being able to get the most out of a lick like this. So have fun with it and just be curious about what these differences do to your lick. And it doesn't have to be this one necessarily either. So one more thing before you end up going on and moving on to another lick is all of this has been in one key. We've played this lick in the key of F, but what if you're playing with some other people and that song that you're playing is not in F? You don't want all this hard work to only apply to a song that you happen to be playing in F. So it's really important to play it in another key, C, E flat, B flat. All the keys would be really great, but start off by just choosing the keys that you tend to run into the most and try to transfer that information over. You might find that certain keys work better for certain variations, and certain keys present different sounds to you, and you might come up with other variations in those keys too. So this is just one of the ways that I really like to practice, and I think the concept of being a really curious improviser goes a long way to helping you just discover what works and what doesn't work. I think that second part, what doesn't work, is equally important, because maybe you're in the middle of improvising and you reach for something, and that last note you thought maybe was going to come out a little better, but that wasn't really what the sound you really wanted. So if you're practicing all the variations you can think of when you're at home or you're practicing alone, you can sort of weed out the choices that you don't want to play, and then you know not to try that again. Or maybe you'll stumble upon something that sounds really cool that you've never even heard before, and that can be your lick or your variation of the thing that you do. So just a very important concept that I encourage you guys to all try out. Then the next video is going to be on Wednesday, and that's going to be a really cool pattern concept that I like to practice a lot. One of my favorite things to practice all over the horn, and we're going to be talking more about manipulating notes and coming up with lots of different variations. So I hope you enjoyed. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys next time.